Cool. I guess we're live. Haven't done anything like this before. Let's see if anyone shows up. Nobody yet. Stole your beans. Not my beans, dude. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Hey, everybody. Benny the Bassman here. Just wanted to start up a little live stream on this, the first day of, well, what's happening in Canada is that our Prime Minister Trudeau has just basically locked down the whole country. Most businesses are closing. I'm glad to hear you're doing good, man. I'm doing all right. Most businesses are closed, and of course, most musicians are definitely out of work for a while until this thing settles down a little bit, which I think is definitely the right call. We need to slow this thing down. So I just wanted to pop on a little live stream, say hi to anyone who was also at home with nothing to do, and see if anybody had any questions or wanted to talk bass stuff, and maybe any questions about my setup or anything like that, and just, yeah, hang out for a bit. I think my fiance is probably coming home pretty soon too. Her job just got shut down. Brandon Young, hey man, how long have you been playing? I'm 34 now, and I started playing in grade 10. So that would have been around age 15. So for the better part of 20 years, actually. I played a couple instruments before the bass when I was younger, but I found the bass only in high school there. How do I go back and see these previous comments? Oh, there we go. Stolly Beans, how do you play Introducing Fearless Flyer so well? I can't get it right. True. That one was really hard, actually. A lot of Joe Dart comes from the way, comes from the style that he plays with his left hand. Like, there are a lot of simpler ways to play that tune that don't involve all the jumping around on the fretboard. But Joe Dart kind of errs on the side of like playing things. He almost like plays the bass like it's a meme. You know what I mean? Like he almost plays it like it's all a joke, and he like wears glasses and does funny stuff. So like a lot of the times tunes like that where you're jumping octaves and stuff like that, like he plays it purposefully the hard way as opposed to the easy way. So there's like and it's like all over the map. It's just like not even you could play that pretty much in one position if you just wanted to go like E string and then D string for the octave and then the D. You could play it all in one position, but then he basically just goes all over the place with it. I am 3-point. Thanks a lot, man. Dude, I love Wolfpack too. I should mention that, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out I've never used this before, how the interface works. I should mention that Wolfpack are one of the only bands that still haven't copyright protected their stuff on YouTube. I don't make any money off of YouTube. I have a Patreon, of course, that I make some money off of, but Wolfpack is one of the only bands that still hasn't content ID'd their tunes, meaning that if someone was so inclined, they could monetize their own versions of Wolfpack videos, which is really cool of them. It's totally on brand. They haven't done that. Pretty much every other major artist. Hey, Josh is Thom. How's it going, man? Pretty much every major artist has content ID'd all their tunes, which makes perfect sense. But Wolfpack still just has all their stuff on there for free, which I think is really rad. Let's go back. Vegeta or Vegeta 777. Sorry, I'm going to butcher these names. How can I get started on scales and understanding music theory? Well, at the very beginning, definitely some private instruction is good. It's going to be really, really good for you, man. There are basic shapes and patterns that you can remember when it comes to playing scales. like for example, the major scale that I find the easiest, you always start on your second finger on the root, second finger, fourth finger, first finger, second finger, fourth finger, first finger, third finger, fourth finger, and that's like the major scale. Kind of learn that. But if you're talking about more complicated stuff, it's definitely good to have one-on-one instruction at the beginning or some sort of a class, because you're gonna have a ton of questions, especially when it comes to theory. You're gonna want to bounce off of a teacher. I've never been a book guy myself. I've always much preferred this kind of one-on-one interaction. So my best advice would be to find someone you like and get some private lessons, man. Even just a few will set you off on the right path, and then based on how you're doing, they could recommend, if you're looking for books and all that stuff, they could recommend those too. But I'm definitely a tutoring one-on-one kind of guy for sure. Brendan Young says, tell me about your Fender. It's really nice. Thank you. Which Fender is that? The P-Bass or the Jazz? You're welcome. Vegeta. Yeah, which Fender are you talking about? The P-Bass or the Jazz? I've got the P-Bass, which is the kind of blonde colored one. Let's see if you can see over that one. And then I've got the Jazz, is actually in the gig bag, because the last gig that I did right there was... Actually, you know what? I'll just talk about both. The P-Bass is an American Deluxe from 2011. Super, super love that instrument. It's so versatile. I bought it straight from Fender in 2011. It was, I think, like $1,500, something like that. And what makes it special is that it's got one P-bass pickup and one J-bass pickup on it. So you can really get a whole wide variety of tones. And that's what I mean when I say it's really versatile. P-basses are already like an industry standard. Like if you're going to a recording session, you're bring whatever specialty bass you want, but you're always going to bring a P-bass too, just because so many people want to hear that sound. But what I love about this P-bass, maybe I'll just actually grab it and I'll turn it around here. Hello. So you can see that it's got the J and the P pickups both. So depending on how I select, or depending on how I set it up with the knobs, you can either use all of one pickup or all of the other or both. And then that really allows you to get that wide variety of sounds. I've also got flat wounds on it right now. When I recorded the first few Jocko videos that you guys have probably seen, like way back at the beginning of the channel, Come On, Come Over and all those things, I was using round wounds. So if I turned the pickup all the way to the back and got that great J bass back pickup sound, then it sounds like Jocko's bass somewhat. It's still fretted, obviously. It's harder to get that Jocko sound now with the flat wounds on, because it just kind of sounds a little weaker. But yeah, that's definitely one of my most used basses on the channel. Super love it. And then the Jazz, that's still in the gig bag over there, is a Marcus Miller edition one. I got it maybe 2009, 2010. And it hasn't been on the channel for a while because I actually lent it to a friend who was learning to play bass. And I got it back, and then I've totally been bonding with it lately. But yeah, it's a Marcus Miller edition Fender Jazz. It's actually Mexican, but it sounds great, and I super love it. It's a cool Fender in that it doesn't have your typical volume knobs on it. It has volume knobs for each pickup. So actually, let me break it out one second. I'll just gonna put the phone down. Actually. For those of you who are wondering, this is a double gig bag, the mainstay of any gigging musician. You've got a bass here in the back, and then you've got another bass pouch in the front there. So I always take two basses to gigs just in case I break a string or whatever. I've always got a backup. All right. So you can see here with this guy, it's got 4 knobs, and it just got the 2 J pickups on this one. These 2 silver knobs that you see at the top are actually volume selectors for each individual pickup. So the front one is a volume selector for the front pickup only, and the back one is volume selector for the back pickup. So you can literally turn both of them up or down separately of each other. You don't have the typical like tone knob where as you roll it forward, you get more and more front pickup. This lets you control them both individually, which is really cool. And then the back two are just treble and bass, and then the little switch is active. And I like how it has the old school style of like you stick your patch cord into the actual front of the instrument as opposed to on the side there. I think that's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, that's the J. So those are my two Fenders that I own. Both total absolute workhorses. Thanks for the questions. I'm going to try to go back and see everyone's comments here. This is really cool. This is the first time I've done this, guys, so just bear with me as I'm trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. Stole Your Bean says, how do you record your bass videos? I will definitely show you how I do that. Let me just catch up with all the comments, and then I'll go back and talk about that. What's your advice when it comes to writing quick charts for cover/wedding gigs? Ooh, these are all good. Okay. Stole Your Beans, I got you. I'm going to show you that. Josh has asked this other one. Sorry if I'm butchering these names. I have a lot of advice actually for writing quick charts. Brandon Young, the Jazz. Okay, cool. Hope I answered that. And Josh, I'll get to you in a sec. How long have you been playing for? I've been playing for 2 years. Sick. Keep it up. I am 3.14th on. I've been playing for 20. We just worked that out. I'm 34 and I started when I was 15. Connor, your videos have helped me so much. I'm working on Do I Do right now. Amazing. Dude, that is one of my favorite songs of all time. I had so much fun doing that. I poured everything into that video. So thank you. Such a bass player's song, hey? Totally amazing. Little Pump, great question. Not going to answer it. Brandon Young, sweet man, thanks for answering. When I look up bass covers on YouTube, I'm relieved when you have a video. Awesome. I'm trying to cover everything, man. You know, gonna get there. Pretty soon we're gonna have every song in the known universe up on the channel, God willing. Genevieve just got home. Hi, Genevieve. I'm live streaming on YouTube.
What?
I'm live streaming on YouTube. Everybody say hi, Genevieve. Okay, let's get back to these two other questions that I saw before. Advice for writing quick charts for covering wedding gigs. All right, yes, I do this all the time. So for pretty much every chart that I ever have used in the last 3 or 4 years, I chart them out on the iPad. This is an iPad Pro. Let me see how I can do this. Can I turn the camera around? Yes, I can. All right. So let's go over here. This is my iPad Pro, everybody. And in here is one of the greatest apps in the history of iPad apps for musicians. It's called Fourscore. Now this, no, let's not do that on stream. This, oh, James. Hey, buddy. James says hi. Genevieve. So this app right here, Fourscore, it costs a lot. I think it maybe even be up around like $10 or more. But it is totally invaluable when it comes to being a musician and needing to chart stuff out and running to gigs and stuff like that. So what makes Fourscore so amazing, here, I'll turn it back around again, is that it's basically just a PDF reader, but you can write on it yourself. So like, basically you create set lists and you can have like a whole whack of tunes on here. So if I go up to basically all the tunes that all scores, I've got 663 scores saved on here, which makes it super easy. So you can just see this is going to keep going forever. And all the music that I chart out is just saved in here. And then, so I was playing with this kind of like 80s old school rock band at a gig a couple weeks ago called Fast Love, which was a great gig, great band. So you can see we've got a lot of 80s tunes here. And then you organize them into set lists. And then here's my chart. So the way, and I'm just going to run through this pretty quickly. I was looking up a stream on how to live stream. All right. So let me see what's the best way to do this. So the way I organize my charts, and again, this is like super chicken scratch. I know this all looks like really messy and stressful probably to most of you, but luckily I can read my own writing. So I use an Apple Pencil and I just write the stuff right on the iPad as I'm listening to the tune. So obviously we got the title at the top, and then over here I got the key that it starts in. So this is in E. And then I just basically write notes to myself, like little rhythms or whatever. And when I'm charting, I use Nashville numbers. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with the Nashville number idea. But basically, if we're in the key of E, then the one chord is E. The sixth chord would be C sharp minor, right? So anyway, I'm just writing basically the chords that I'm playing on the bass, and then any particular rhythms that are important. So like the riff, you can see up here I've got the rhythm, do 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 do, and then underneath that is just the numbers that are associated to the key of E. So that would be, oh, let's get my finger out there so it focuses again. Focus. No, we lost it. There we go. So we've got like E E E, G G A A C D D, right? And I'm just using my knowledge of the fact that this is, I guess I should have put E minor, but I know that it's E minor. So I know that the third of E minor is G, the fourth of E minor is A, and that's kind of the way I'm thinking about all of this stuff too when I'm playing the tune. I'm not a notes-oriented guy myself when I'm playing. I don't think notes very often at all. It's almost all shapes and numbers. So that, if the tune is simple, I can actually write it in real time. Like I can listen to the song once and just write it out as I'm going. But if the tune's more complicated, like some of those, then it'll take me a couple passes, obviously, to get them all down. But yeah, and I just write out the whole chart that way. And it, you know, at most, a chart like this is going to take me 10 minutes. So intro riff, first verse, I'm out for the first verse, I'm in here. There's a little 2/4 bar there. Chorus is the riff, so I know how to play that. Verse out, next verse in again, chorus, and embellish it, like play more stuff. 7 bars of that second chorus, and then the shots, and then I kind of separate it with a middle line if I have to, and then over here I'm reading down again. So basically, like the first time you go through it, you write out the whole verse, and then you can just say verse, chorus, chorus. So that's a really quick and dirty way to chart stuff out for a gig. But I've been doing that for 2 or 3 years now, basically. The last component, actually, to that solution is this little guy. This is, as you can see, iClip. It is super handy. Anyway, it's spring-loaded, so the 2 red parts actually pull apart, and then you can snap it around your iPad, and then this end goes onto the mic stand or any sort of other stand. You can see how it connects there. So then you just snap that onto the bottom of your mic stand. You got the iPad in there, and you can read charts off of it if you have to. I hate reading charts, but a lot of times if you're rushed, it's super necessary, yeah? So hope that answers that question. Let's see, top chat, here we go. Definitely still have that question about how I record my tunes. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna catch up first. Also, favorite bassist and favorite musician or band. Stole your beans. Cool. I don't have a favorite bass player. I have a favorite bass player probably for each style of music that I'm into. It's just too hard to narrow it down, to be honest. So like for funk, for example, I grew up on Tower of Power, so Francis Rocco Prestia is my guy for sure. For rock music, it's got to be Flea. For like jazz and fusion, Jocko for sure. Like Motown has its own style, like Jamerson is the man. So yeah, it's hard for me to narrow it down to more than just that. Favorite band of all time, probably Foo Fighters. I love those guys to death. Dave Grohl's my hero. Getting back to some chat here. Powdered soap. Hey man, I've been playing for 20 years. Third person to ask that question in this chat, actually, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm 34 and I started playing when I was 15. Give me the chat. There it is. John Deacon, yeah, he was really cool. Queen's bass player. Joe Dart, Jocko, Paul, and I don't know the fifth guy. Who's that? Number 5, Geezer Butler. I don't know that guy. That's a great list. Okay, now that I'm caught up, people have asked, how do I record these tunes for YouTube? So I'll just go through that pretty quickly. It actually involves several different programs. So I will just go through them all really quickly. Actually, let me open this up here so you guys can see. So first, I start by lifting the tune, of course. To do that, I use 2 different programs. And I've got, actually, let me talk about my setup first. So I've got 2 computers that are permanently here at my desk. I've got a PC and I've got a Mac Mini. The Mac Mini is pretty old, but it runs my interface off of it, so it's kind of always on. Let me turn this screen around here now that we've got this going on. So I've got screen here for my PC, middle screen, which I can switch back and forth between a couple different things, and then a screen here, which I use for my Mac Mini. So over here on the leftmost screen, I'm using this program called Transcribe, which is an awesome little program. It's not very expensive. Transcribe with an exclamation mark. And what's so great about this is it allows you to slow the tune down without changing the speed. So you can see up here, I've got this set at 100, but you can play the song and then just slow it down to 70% right away, right? Without changing the pitch, which is super invaluable. You can also change the pitch without changing the speed if you need to learn the song in a different key. So Transcribe is the program that I use to learn all my tunes off of. Super great little program, highly recommend. To write the stuff out, then I'm in Sibelius. This is Sibelius 7.5. Let's open this up. You guys like my old Humber ID from way back in the day? I don't know why that's there. But anyway, so I write the whole thing out in Sibelius, as you can see. This was my I Love Bizarre chart, which I finally got done last week. Thank goodness. So Sibelius 7.5, like I said again, great program. Lightweight, and I got pretty fast at it, and I use this to do all the writing. Then, when I'm done with that, I will go over to this guy. Every computer for their appropriate uses, right? I'm also using a trackball mouse. I don't use a normal mouse. I have one, but I found that after being self-employed and being at home all day, this kind of mouse ends up hurting my hand after a while. So I'm going over to Pro Tools, and that's how I record my tunes. Pro Tools is kind of the industry standard software for recording music. Pretty expensive, but if you want to record, this is your jam. Super great. Learned on this, very comfortable with it, and yeah. So I'll use Pro Tools to record, and then if I go over here, take on a little studio tour. This is where all the magic happens. So this is my DI, an Avalon U5, super great DI. A bit on the expensive side. I think it's probably around $1,000, but it sounds phenomenal for bass and guitar stuff. It's got actual tubes in it, so it warms up the sound. And if you want, you can turn on all these different tone settings and actually change the tone here with a couple preset tone things. But I don't really use that. I just kind of like to record flat in. But anyway, you have a whole bunch of options here. Phenomenal DI. You'll see a lot of really professional touring bands touring with these things for their live stage DIs. But I've just got one on the top of my rack here. Then I've got a power conditioner, headphone amp, and then this down here is the interface that I use. It's a Fireface 800. Super good. It's got 10 ins, I believe, and 8 outs, I want to say. Just normal. Most of the ins and outs are on the back, so that's why you don't see a whole lot. But it's a really great interface. Fireface 800. And then over here on the Mac, It's got this piece of software, which looks like a lot, but basically you can matrix all of your ins and outs together. So when I want to use my actual studio monitors, I've got that in there too. When I want to use my headphones that I use, I've got that in there too. So basically all the sound coming from all of the computers that I use goes through this sound matrix. Then I can send it in and I can send it out through any of the other things that I've got going on. So I record the audio in Pro Tools, and I record the video with this little guy, Lumix GH5, awesome vlogging camera. What's super handy about the Lumix, this is the camera that like Casey Neistat uses and a bunch of other people. What's really handy about this for vlogging is that the monitor, you can actually turn it around. I'm trying to do this with one hand. So you can see, doop. So you can turn the screen around so you can monitor yourself as you're looking at yourself. So I can see I turn it on there and woo, there we are. Super handy. So yeah, I record that video with that. I record the audio in Pro Tools. And then to put it all together, I go to the most powerful computer that I own, ironically, which is not my PC or my Mac Mini, but it is my Mac laptop. So I go to this guy, I hook it all up. Yeah, that's my Mac. I actually slot it in here to this little base, and so I can use my keyboard and mouse on it, and then I can, use the big TV screen for it or whatever. But yeah, I slot it in there, and then I edit it all together in Final Cut Pro 10, Final Cut Pro X, which I've got on that Mac laptop, which is by far the most powerful computer that I own. So yeah, let's just to recap, transcribe with an exclamation mark for listening to the tunes and lifting them, Sibelius for writing the notes, Pro Tools for recording the audio, Lumix GH5 for recording the video, and then Final Cut Pro for editing it all together. Sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But I super love doing it, and having all you guys sending the positive comments just totally keeps me going, especially now when there's not a whole lot going on. Right, everybody? Let's see. Top chat, here we go. Joe Dart says cubic TF. Amen, brother. He's the man. Black Sabbath, is that your favorite band? Still your beans? A+, thumbs up. Hey, Xavier, man. I remember you, dude. You've been a fan of the channel since the very beginning, and you've been very supportive. I'm sorry that I don't actually understand Spanish this way. I usually take your comments and I put them into Google Translate. But I really appreciate your support, man. You've been with me for 2 years or so. So, yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for all the support and all the positive comments and everything. And James, James translated. Thanks, buddy. Greetings, Benny from Ecuador. Keep it up, bro. You're the best. Xavier, man, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I see all your comments, and I appreciate all the support you've given me over the years. Thank you. Story Beans, sorry for asking so many questions. Oh, don't be sorry. This is why we're doing it, man. This is fun. Do you have a degree in music? If so, what degree do you have, and what school did I go to? Yes, I do. Actually, so I went to Humber College in Toronto. I was born and raised here in Toronto, and Humber College is a great, great school. I went there for 4 years, so I got the degree. I got the diploma in year 3, and I'm like 2 classes away from getting my degree. But at the time that I was there, they didn't have an integrated degree program, so you had to do these online courses through another university that was in BC. And I didn't end up doing them just because I didn't care too much about the paper. What I got from Humber was the networking and all of that kind of stuff. Met a whole bunch of really cool people that kind of started my career off. And that to me is miles and miles ahead of the paper. I knew I never wanted to be a college teacher. and I knew I didn't want to necessarily do anything else that required the paper. So I went to Humber, got what I could out of it from a playing standpoint and also from a networking standpoint, and then just kind of forgot the other, forgot to finish, quote unquote. But I did go for 4 years and loved almost all of it. I think James had a question back up a little while longer. What's your approach to industry networking from James? That's a funny one. You know me, and a lot of these people don't. I am not a good networker in the sense that I'm not a schmoozer. I tend to. I'm one of those guys where when you meet them for the first time, when you meet someone new for the first time, you just want to like tell them your whole life story. I'm not very good at small talk and all of that kind of stuff, but I know that it's very important. So like when you're talking industry networking, James, do you mean like at events and stuff like that, like at artist events, or just in general? What's my approach to networking with other people? Because they're two very different things in my mind. The schmooze that you get from like an industry event is something that I'm just awful at, and I try and more in general. Okay, cool. Yeah, so like the schmooze at an industry event is kind of something that I'm like I avoid like crazy because I'm just terrible at it and I put my foot in my mouth all the time. But in general, my approach these days, and it seems to be working really well, is I try to be a really good, helpful, and nice person and show people that I'm grateful for everything that I do. And that seems to go a long way. I know it sounds pretty simple, but you know, I just try to show that I'm positively invested. I think one of the biggest things when you're dealing with artists, you know, there's all sorts of like fragile egos, not fragile egos in necessarily a negative sense, but just everyone's got insecurities and everything like that. And one of the greatest things you can give people is a sense that you believe in them and you actually want to help. So whenever I'm talking to someone that I haven't necessarily met before, I try to be very attentive and very kind, and basically show that I'm willing to do whatever I can to help the project. As far as actually reaching out and talking to new people, I haven't. Being a musician is such a word of mouth kind of thing that I guess I could say that I'm lucky in the sense that I haven't had to reach out and introduce myself to completely new people too often. It's more like cultivating relationships that I already have, and cultivating them and making sure that they're strong. I have done that a couple times. I reached out to Aguilar last year to try to start a relationship with them, hopefully for some sponsorships and stuff like that. And then it gets a little more into self-promotion and all of that. But I think the most important thing when you're dealing with a network that is entirely sort of word of mouth is don't give anyone any reason to talk negatively about you. Just be a good person and support everyone. And that will go a long way. These things sound small, but they end up meaning a hell of a lot more than an individual ability on an instrument is. If you're a good person, people like working with you, and people like how they feel when they're around you, they will choose you over someone who can play twice as well as you, I'd say, on average. So that's a good one. Stole your beans, got that. Though the face. What's up? Have you ever been to Sweden? Dude, I have family in Sweden. I have two half-sisters on my mom's side who were born here, but they both managed to marry Swedish guys. Stole your beans, gotta go. Cool, man. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by and asking questions. I'm gonna try to do this maybe a little more. It's pretty fun. Back to the Sweden question. Yes, I've been to Sweden many, many times, like 15 times probably. My sisters both live there. They have families there. They have kids there. And I visit them as much as I can. My one sister lives in Gothenburg and my other sister lives in Stockholm. So those are the two cities that I've been in most, but let me try to remember some other cities where my sister lives. Norrköping, Malmö, Växjö. I don't speak Swedish, but I understand it fairly well. when I listen to it, it's kind of one of those weird things where if you're there for a week and you hear Swedish, I think Swedish is a beautiful language. If you're there for more than a week, you kind of start understanding it. I feel like the flow is fairly similar to English. So yeah, absolutely love Sweden. I'm in awe of the country and feel great whenever I'm there, and it's hard to leave. David Gong asks, do I play upright? Yes, but badly. I played it in college, so I have a fairly good understanding of how to play jazz with the thing, but the work that I've been getting just over the last like 10 years since college has been so electric dominant that I just haven't kept it up. I don't own an upright. I owned a baby bass, like an electric upright for a while. Not while I still have it, but and you can see my space is kind of small, and I just haven't had the work, and practicing upright is hell. So for me anyway, I love the instrument. I love how it sounds, and I do like playing it, but I just haven't kept it up to a professional level, I guess, because yeah, it's just like I said, the work that I've been getting has been mainly artist work, commercial music, country music, and this YouTube channel now, wedding gigs, corporate gigs, dance band stuff. So it almost never requires upright. So I could fool some people. Maybe that's the best answer. I could fool non-musicians into thinking that I play upright. How's that? Virginia Markson, somebody I know fairly well. Hi, Mom. Hi, I love this, even though the technology is beyond me. Well, thank you. This is fun for me too. Probably gonna sign off pretty soon. My fiance got home, but I just wanted to get these last few questions in. Xavier with a question. Benny, have you played in South America, and in what country? I wish, man, I wish. I have not. I played, the closest I ever got to South America is I played a wedding in Mexico. And then on the other side, I played a corporate event in Cayman Islands. Both were awesome, awesome, awesome experiences. But I have not played anywhere in proper South America. Yeah, I was in Tulum for a wedding a couple years ago with an awesome corporate band. And a couple of months ago, which I'm actually thinking about doing a vlog about because I recorded some footage there. I was in Cayman Islands for a really cool corporate event. So yeah, that's that. Guys, I really appreciate all the questions. I wanted to just start this up and kind of see how it's been going. Obviously, a lot of people are out of work and at home and not doing a whole lot, so I definitely plan on keeping my schedule going of one video a week. And truly appreciate all the patrons that have signed up as well on patreon.com, because that is definitely going to be extremely key in helping me to keep the lights on during these next uncertain few weeks where most musicians are entirely out of work, as it should be. This is not me complaining at all. We need to slow the spread of this thing. But everyone's got to get a bit resourceful about how to make money in the meantime. And so I definitely plan on being on this a lot for you guys. So I appreciate all the views and all the support and all the questions. It's been really cool. Wow, this has been like 40 minutes already. God, time went by like crazy. Hope everyone's doing really well and staying healthy out there. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll do this again sometime soon. All right. Be well, everybody. See ya.